Who will be crowned king? Gold, the S&P 500, or Bitcoin? Welcome back to Mark's Financial Playbook. If you're new here, my name's Mark Basil. I'm a financial advisor deeply rooted in both traditional finance and decentralized finance. For the first time in history, TradFi and DeFi aren't competing, they're converging. And whether you're a Wall Street player or a crypto degen, you're now in the same arena for the first time. In this video, we're going to compare the compound annual growth rate of these three assets from 2010 through early August 2025. Because at the end of the day, returns tell the real story anyway, right? In 2010, the S&P 500 rose a decent 15%, and gold was shining too, up nearly 30%. But Bitcoin was just getting started. It traded for mere pennies and still hadn't cracked $1. This was the year that someone famously paid 10,000 Bitcoin for 2 Papa John's pizzas. And just like that, Bitcoin officially became a currency, one slice at a time. It had soared 415%. The S&P 500 barely budged in 2011, just a 2% gain. Gold kept climbing, up another 10%, but Bitcoin, it exploded. It hit $1, then $30, and soared 1,437% for the year. Then came the crash. It was the first true cycle of hype, growth, and pain. But Bitcoin had crossed a line. It actually had value, and the world was starting to notice. 2012, while the S&P 500 gained 16% and gold rose about 7%, Bitcoin moved mostly sideways in public view, up 193%. Behind the scenes though, major things were happening. Bitcoin's first halving cut mining rewards in half, laying the groundwork for future supply shocks. And WordPress started accepting Bitcoin. Quiet year? Maybe, but the base was forming. 2013, the S&P had a monster year, up 32%. Gold tanked, falling 28%, and Bitcoin, it blasted off from $13 to over $1,100, up 5,460%. Media buzz, rising adoption, and a huge surge in global interest fueled the rocket. But there were cracks too. China banned Bitcoin payments, and Mt. Gox started wobbling. Still, Bitcoin's market cap crossed $1 billion for the first time. In 2014, the S&P 500 held steady with a 13.7% gain. Gold slid again, down nearly 2%. For Bitcoin, disaster struck. Mt. Gox completely collapsed. 744,000 Bitcoin gone, and prices fell 58%. But it wasn't the end. Overstock and Microsoft began accepting Bitcoin. The bear market was here, but Bitcoin was still alive and growing in the background. 2015, the S&P 500 inched up just 1.4%. Gold fell another 10%. Bitcoin dropped to $150 early in the year, but closed up 34%. Coinbase raised $75 million, and Bitcoin got its official symbol, the B. It was a quiet year, but the foundation was getting stronger. 2016, the S&P 500 rose 12%, and gold recovered a bit, up 8.6%. Bitcoin climbed 124%, sitting at $750 a coin as it prepared for its second halving. This was the calm before the storm. 2017, the S&P gained 21.8%, and gold ticked up 13%. Bitcoin flat out went parabolic, up 1,369% from $1,000 to nearly $20,000. Crypto exchanges boomed, futures launched on Wall Street, and just days later, the top was unfortunately in. 2018 came. The S&P 500 dropped 4.4%, gold barely moved, down 1.6%, Bitcoin fell like a rock, 73% from its highs. Crypto ads were banned by Google, Facebook, and Twitter. Prices bottomed around $3,100 in December. Most people thought Bitcoin was dead again. 2019, S&P 500 roared back with a 31.5% gain. Gold climbed 18%. Bitcoin bounced too, reaching $14,000 mid-year before cooling to $7,000 a coin. It wasn't a bull run, but it wasn't a breakdown either. Bitcoin closed up 92%. Momentum was quietly building again. The S&P 500 finished up 18%, and gold surged 25%. Bitcoin took it on the chin, crashed 40% in a single day during COVID panic, then rebounced like crazy. By year end, it had passed $28,000 a coin, up 303%. Institutional players like MicroStrategy and MassMutual stepped in. Bitcoin proved it could survive a global crisis and come out stronger. 2021, the S&P 500 returned 29%. Gold dipped slightly, down 3.6%. Bitcoin, for for the first time broke $60,000 a coin, fueled by ETF rumors and El Salvador making it legal tender. I remember that, it was all over the headlines. However, good old China banned mining, which triggered a mid-year crash. Nevertheless, Bitcoin still finished strong, up 60%. Wall Street was officially on board. 2022, the S&P 500 fell 18.1%, and gold barely held ground, down 50 basis points. Bitcoin, oh Bitcoin, it crashed again, down 64%. From 50K to the low 20Ks. It was rocked by inflation, rising rates, SBF, and the FTX collapse and that whole fiasco. It was brutal, but Bitcoin held the line. 2023, the S&P 500 bounced back with a 26% gain. Gold rose 13.2%. Bitcoin climbed from $16,500 to over $43,000 for one coin, up 156%. The buzz around spot ETFs returned. Slowly, trust was rebuilding, one block at a time. 2024 S&P 500 continued its rally, up 25%. Gold surged too, up over 27%. The wait was over. In January, the SEC approved multiple spot Bitcoin ETFs, unlocking billions in institutional capital. Retail piled in. Bitcoin blasted past $70,000. And in December, it finally broke the mythical $100,000 mark. What once seemed impossible was now history. So far in 2025, the S&P 500 is up about 8%, gold has gained 27%, and Bitcoin is up about 26%, riding post-halving momentum in billions in new institutional capital. No longer just a speculative bet, Bitcoin is evolving into a global store of value, programmable money. After breaking the 100K milestone in 2024, Bitcoin entered 2025 with serious momentum. Wall Street went from mocking it to offering ETFs, custody solutions, and even putting it on balance sheets. And now with Fed stablecoin laws in place, digital assets are no longer operating in a regulatory gray zone. They're gaining real-world legitimacy. Over the past 15 years, the S&P 500 delivered a solid average return of about 14% a year. Gold came in with a respectable 8%, but Bitcoin, it averaged nearly 600% annually. That's in a category of its own. What would $1,000 invested in 2010 be worth by 2025? S&P 500, $7,554. Not bad. Gold, $3,040. Held its own. Bitcoin, over $2 billion. $2 billion. That's the kind of growth that bends reality and rewrites the rules. And while the past doesn't predict the future, Bitcoin's first 15 years have already earned it a permanent place in financial history. As someone with one foot in traditional finance and one in crypto, I see where these worlds are heading. The most powerful portfolios of the future won't pick a side. They'll harness both. The Bitcoin story isn't over. It's just beginning, one Satoshi at a time. Today's charts are linked below as free PDFs. My team and I love doing these for you. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.